What is up, guys? Welcome to another July Top 5, or...
This is July?
Yeah, this is coming out in July.
Happy birthday to me.
I know the prior announcement was that there would only be 3 Top 5s in the start, but you know,
We lied.
I wouldn't say that. We had a lot more ideas that we wanted to do, and plus since we have a lot more time on our hands, I figured why not just add more to it. So since you guys love the top 5 best and worst horror films of the decade video, guys, thank you so much for watching that. That was the worst. That was hard to come up with for that list. As a culmination of everything, we thought that why not do our top 5 films that we love for this decade so far.
Yes.
This was hard as shit to do. Well, I don't think for Joe it was hard.
No, it wasn't.
For me, it was actually kind of hard because I loved a lot of films this decade. Alex was number 1 that I'm still trying to figure out, but
we will eventually.
We will figure out eventually. So, top 5 films of the decade. These are the ones that, you know, that truly stood out to us, the one that impacted us the most, and the ones that we see, so far, and the ones that we see as instant classics, pretty much, in our eyes. So, and of course, like every other top 5, we have honorable mentions.
Except for him.
Except for me.
Always,
never.
Never has any.
If it's not good to be on the list, it doesn't deserve to be mentioned.
Bridesmaids. Next up, 12 Years a Slave. My favorite film of the last year, Chef. Warhorse. And my last honorable mention, Toy Story 3.
I have 5 as well. One of them is The Town. Next one up, Mad Max Fury Road. Next one up, X-Men Days of Future Past. My next honorable mention, Django Unchained. And my final honorable mention is Inception. And Joe, you
I don't have any, so you'll just have to wait and see what my top 5 are.
So let's get to the top 5 best films of the decade in our opinions so far. Let's do this.
Number 5.
So since you started the honorable mentions, I'm gonna have Joe start with the number 5.
Oh,
Alright, so
interesting.
Alright, my number 5 came out last year. I put this in my top 5 of last year. I put this as my number 2. It is
Birdman. Okay.
You know what? The fact that it's not because I think it deserved Best Picture, which I didn't, but I just loved it for its, first of all, its artistic style, that it was able to just pull off everything with a single shot.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do. No one has ever been able to do it as well as these guys did.
No.
And some great acting performances all around, from Keaton to Emma to Edward to even Zach. And I love New York. I love the whole theater style. That's always been my thing, is like, I love theater and I love New York City. I mean, my family was born in New York. So it's kind of like a little bit of a bias there, but you know, that I really didn't think that took that into account. Plus, it's Birdman, which is really Michael Keaton as Batman, but it's not Batman. It's Birdman.
There's so much about Birdman.
Yeah, there's just so much reality to it that you wouldn't think.
It's a film about life.
Yeah.
It's about life.
Like, that's life.
Just a fun fact for you, there was actually an ongoing joke about Birdman about how many mistakes the actors made. Emma Stone made the most mistakes while filming, and Zach Galifianakis made the least mistakes.
Talent.
Wow.
I'm dead serious. That's how.
Well, sometimes the most talented actors need a lot of takes in order to get the perfect formula right.
I don't know how many mistakes exactly Emma Stone made, but I just know that she made the most mistakes. I have to look it up someday.
He's my number 5.
My number 5 goes to, this was featured in my top 5 horror films video. And this is The Babadook. Well, of course, it's obvious. I'm the biggest horror junkie out of all of us.
Yes.
No.
And, yeah, I remember reading about it, and even the director of The Exorcist said it was one of the scariest things he ever seen. And that right there caught my attention. I watched it. Holy shit, it is... I thought The Conjuring was scary. This thing really got to me on a psychological level. And here's the thing, it's more than a horror film. It's a psychological drama that tells a story in the mood of a horror movie.
Which are really the best horror movies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a psychological thriller that really delves deep into grief and depression, and it does it just perfectly. And it was also a first-time film from a first-time director, should I add. The Babadook, by far, this year is the scariest creature of the decade. I just remember to this day when I saw the thing for the first time, I screamed when I saw it. If you guys haven't seen it, and if you're horror fans, I definitely recommend checking it out. Just keep this in mind. Don't look at this as a monster movie. Look at this as a psychological thriller told in a horror way.
That's
all I'm gonna say. That's why it's my number 5.
My number 5 is a film that not a lot of people expected to happen so soon. But because the fact that it's become so popular with today's, technological warfare, or not warfare, but just social media in general. My number 5 is The Social Network.
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg, how he did that, how he came up with the Facebook, with Face Smash, Face Smash, and then the Winklevoss twins.
Yeah, actual twins.
Yes. Andrew Garfield is his best friend. Oof, man.
And then he became
and then
Spider-Man.
Justin
I
Timberlake.
liked him as Spider-Man.
And then Justin Timberlake as Richard Parker.
No, not Richard Parker.
Or
the founder of the founder of Napster.
Yeah, Napster.
Napster guy. I forgot what his name was.
Yeah, same. I thought it was like
It's Parker.
Whatever it was, he was a
something
dick
Parker.
and he played it really well.
I thought it was Tom Parker or something. No, not
Something
Tom.
Parker.
Something
Parker. Richard Parker. I don't know. But and then Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg.
Sorry, I had to do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was from Life of Pi, Richard Parker.
Wow.
You said Richard Parker. That's why it brought me up.
I'm a fucking idiot. Amazing movie. I think it should have won Best Picture that year.
It should have, but it didn't because
What
of
what
King's
one again?
Speech.
King's
Oh
Speech.
yeah, I love King's Speech, but better than Social Network and Inception. No.
Because Social Network was the most critically acclaimed movie that year.
It was
but
praised.
yeah, it was
Beyond end, and it deserved it. That's why it's my number 5.
Number 4.
Well, my number 4 goes to a genre that has not been done for many, many, many years. It started off in this genre, and I loved it when I used to go to film classes. I used to have to watch these type of movies. But then, many, many, many years later, some guy said, you know what? I'm going to do this type of genre again, and then maybe I could tie it up into doing it. My number 4 is The Artist.
Oh, haha.
Silent movies have not been done for a very long time,
Yeah.
and I miss silent movies. It just goes to show that silent movies did something that not a lot of today's movies are able to do, which is you can bring emotion out of a character by not using words.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is just put words on the screen to indicate when they're talking. That's all you need. That's all you had back then. And, even in the early days of movie theaters, they would have somebody playing on the piano, doing the music while the movie was playing. I don't know, that would have been cool if they did that the same way in 2011, but unfortunately, no. But, music was also important when it came to silent movies, because you needed the soundtrack in order to go along with it. Charlie Chaplin is a great example of a director that did that very well. If you've seen City Lights, you would know. So, Artist is my number 4.
My number 4 goes to a movie that came out 2 years ago. This movie, I remember the first time I saw the trailer for it. When I saw this certain director's name attached to this trailer, the moment I saw it, I saw this 3 times that year. Number 4 goes to Gravity. Gravity, I absolutely loved Gravity. I saw this 3 times in theaters. I remember each time. The first time was the D-Box 3D with these two right here.
That was fun.
The second time was an IMAX 3D, and still this day remains my favorite IMAX 3D experience to this date. And the third time I saw was Sarah in 3D, and I could not. It just, every time I saw it, it got better and better and better. And I even watched it on home media, and people say it got worse on home media. I didn't feel that way whatsoever. I still felt it was just that great. Alfonso Cuarón is one of my favorite directors working today. I love his visual style. He's directed Children of Men, Prison of Azkaban, A Little Princess, which is a thing I loved a lot. Gravity is the simplest movie, the simplest space movie. Seriously, it's just an astronaut trying to survive with constantly coming debris with dwindling space oxygen, and people say nothing happens. Bullshit, nothing happens, okay? Let me ask you guys out there who hates it. How would you feel if you had constantly dwindling oxygen, there would be debris coming at any moment, and there was no one around you to rescue?
Damn you,
How would
George
you
Clooney.
be? Well, there was a reason why he's spoiler alert, why he sacrificed himself. There was a reason why for that.
Oh, bullshit! I don't believe that for a second!
No.
I expected alien battleships to be in this movie. That would have been more exciting than this.
And you cannot deny that the score by Stephen Price is absolutely just haunting to listen to.
The picture?
No,
Baseball pitcher?
The score by Stephen
okay.
Price. The score by him. The fact that Alfonso Cuarón used green screens the entire time, and the amount of lights he used for LEDs to, you know, manipulate space, it looked realistic. And when I saw it on IMAX, it only made space look even more realistic on screen. And I will admit, Interstellar, okay guys, I like Interstellar, I don't love it. I give Nolan all props possible for using all practical effects on that, seriously. But
Shame on you, Matt Damon!
But
Exactly.
but with Gravity, space just looked all that more convincing. I don't know how it did, and it's just that the tension just kept on rising, and every time that those debris came, holy shit, my heart was pounding.
There was more conflict in that than having to worry about what the fuck is the fifth dimension.
And love is quantifiable.
What? No. Stop it with the science. Just give me some conflict.
Yeah, like, and that's what Gravity had, which was conflict. Debris, yes, debris is coming. Yeah. That's conflict.
Yeah.
Dwindling oxygen, that's conflict.
George Clooney coming through the window while your helmet's
conflict.
off. Conflict.
That's why Gravity's my number 4, guys. If you haven't seen Gravity, it's the best science fiction film of the decade so far. See it.
Go!
My number 4 is my favorite film of 2013. That is Mud.
Okay.
Mud.
Matthew McConaughey's. This is easily his best film, aside from Dallas Buyers Club. Aside from,
I like Dallas Buyers Club more, honestly.
really?
I don't know.
Mud?
I thought Mud kind of struggled in its pacing. In a
Yeah,
few
but
areas.
you have that connection between him and the kid, and like he's his best friend.
No, I understand. I know.
And then the kid's got the girlfriend, and the girlfriend's a slut or something.
I thought
Yeah,
that.
Reese Witherspoon.
I honestly.
No, that's Mud
The
Girl.
kid. I thought the kid with his girlfriend. I thought that was so throwaway. I don't know why. I didn't really.
And then you got the guy across the street who's supposedly Mud's father, who keeps a lookout for the kid when the armed robbery happens at the end of the film.
Yeah.
That film.
It's an excellent movie. I just think
Excellent
here.
film.
I just think here there it stretched a little bit here and there.
Might have, but it was still fantastic as all hell.
Yeah.
Simply put, if you haven't seen Mud, highly recommend you do so. It's my number 4.
Alright guys, here we go, the top 3. We're getting to the nitty gritty. Here we go,
really
the top 3 films, out of our opinion, of the decade. Joe, go for it.
Alright, well, my number 3 was Alex's number 5, and that is The Social Network.
Oh, okay.
This is the ultimate story of something that a lot of people are invested in as of right now.
Yeah.
Social media.
If there was like the basic story of MySpace, I don't think people would have cared as much.
Tom!
Facebook was more of an interesting story because of everything that went behind it, with the lawsuits, with the betrayal, like the betrayal. It's like, you betray me as your best friend. I was a part of this project, and you betrayed
Give me
me.
half of Facebook now.
And I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's like that led to this whole legal battle, especially when they're cutting in between stories, and he's trying to explain like the whole deal about how everything came to be. It's just like something that just started as a simple college website ended up becoming like a global phenomenon, and that is a very interesting story, especially with the creator behind it and how everything sort of flowed into place with the characters and how they felt, with the tension that was building and the conflict that was coming around all at the same time. It just felt like a very, very well told story. So that's why Social Network is number 3.
My number 3 comes from a film that came out in 2011. It was my number 1. My number 3 goes to Harry Potter, The Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Oh, wow.
Loved, oh my god. Everybody grew up with Harry Potter. Everybody did.
Yes.
Well, yeah, everybody did.
The highs and lows.
Yeah, highs and lows. Seriously.
What
It
were
was
the
just...
lows?
The first 2 movies.
No, I thought the lowest one was Order of the Phoenix, honestly.
Yeah, Order of the Phoenix.
I didn't like the Chris Columbus.
Really?
I didn't
loved
like that. I
those.
didn't like those versions.
I loved those ones. As a kid who actually read the Harry Potter books, surprisingly I actually read them because anyone who knows me in real life, I don't really read at all. Seeing these movies growing up really had an impact on my childhood growing up, and when I saw Deathly Hallows Part 2, man, that is you want to talk about a way to end a franchise with a bang. This is a prime example of how to do it, seriously.
Absolutely.
Now, the first one was more just like it was like a dramatic road thriller, while this one was just a flat-out battle of a movie. And it just shows when some certain characters die, when Bellatrix gets wasted away by Molly Weasley. Oh my god, that scene was so cool. And the final duel between Harry and Voldemort. Now, I will say the one thing I could say against that, it felt a little too short, their battle. It felt a little short, but still the leading up to it, seeing them fight together, it was still heart-pounding to watch, regardless of how short it was. And also seeing Ron and Hermione's romance finally coming together, everything was tied together so lovely into a great bow, seriously.
I wouldn't say Ron and Hermione's relationship really. It's like, oh, wow, that was just like, they're just like, okay, we're just gonna slingshot right into it, no explanation.
Well, no, but you could tell it was all built up through the movies, especially from Prisoner of Azkaban, which is my favorite Harry Potter movie to this day. If you're a Harry Potter fan and if you never saw this movie,
why?
Where have you been? Seriously.
Why?
Or if you've never seen a Harry Potter movie in your life.
Just why?
Why? That's why Death Hallows Part 2 is my number 3.
My number 3 is a film that I highly regret not putting this as my number 1 in 2012. Django Unchained. Quentin Tarantino is a film master. Every single film,
especially when it comes to his dialogue.
Yeah, especially when it comes to his dialogue. Every single film that he has ever produced is gold. Cinematic gold. Jamie Foxx is Django. Oh, man.
Will Smith was supposed to play Django
Yeah,
at
you're
first.
regretting that now, aren't you, Will?
And what did he do instead? After Earth.
And what did he do after that? Focus.
Focus.
Which you loved.
I still
Yeah,
love.
it's pretty good redemption, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Christoph
sure.
Waltz as
The dentist.
The dentist.
The German dentist.
German dentist. And short of saying, you're only $200. Oh my god.
The fact that he is a freed man trying to find his wife who is held by Leonardo DiCaprio at his establishment picking cotton and stuff.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
My attention.
Oh man.
And then Samuel L. Jackson. The best scene in that film is the shootout scene.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh,
god.
yeah.
Especially with the soundtrack going behind it. God.
Then the final finale where he blows up the house.
And then he turns back and he does that epic smile.
Django Unchained, I highly regret putting it at number 2 instead of my number 1. Simply put, that's my number 3, Django Unchained.
Number 2. Oh,
right.
it's getting heat. It's getting hotter in here.
So take off all your clothes. Well, my number 2, I put as my number 1 a few years ago because no drama that I've ever seen was able to capture the realism that was really brought here. My number 2 is 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
I was a little curious as to how violent this was going to be considering the subject matter and how, I mean, if you've ever seen the miniseries Roots,
I heard that was
Okay.
disturbing.
Okay.
Your name is Toby.
the guy's a free man and they trick him to becoming a slave. I mean, that's the sad part about it.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's
I
how,
haven't seen it.
No. I mean, I'm saying that's how 12 Years starts.
Okay,
It's a-
my bad.
yeah, the
my
guys
bad. I
start-
don't see how that's how
No,
Root starts.
No. But do see Roots. Everybody just did a fantastic job with this. Michael Fassbender, who I never even heard of before this movie.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know who Michael
You,
Fassbender
didn't- you
was.
never saw X-Men First Class?
No.
I didn't know who
I
it was
didn't-
either.
So good.
I wasn't a huge fan of the X-Men movies after
Oh.
2.
That's understandable.
But,
First Class is amazing.
But I finally did find out who he was, and he's going to be in another indie movie, which I'm really looking forward to. If you want a really heavy drama, there you go. And you want to know why this won Best Picture. This is the closest thing to what slavery was like back in the 1800s.
I still feel like Gravity should have won that year, but that's just me.
No. This one was like very story heavy and very character heavy, which was really
Yeah.
why I think it deserved to win. Plus, it was the most critically acclaimed movie of 2013, so that's why 12 Years a Slave is my number 2.
My number 2, this is yet again another ending to another sort of franchise, I guess you could say. Number 2 goes to Toy Story 3. Man.
He cried. I
Like
saw him
like a bitch.
It was like Vin was like, "Get a tissue!"
Again, like Harry Potter, Toy Story was a trilogy that as a little baby I grew up with.
Yeah.
Toy Story 1 came out I think in 93, I think.
No, Toy
95.
Story
Yeah, 95, my bad.
We were
Toy
5
Story
years old.
2 came out a few years later, and it wasn't even
99.
supposed to be a theatrical release. It was supposed to be
Yes.
DVD release, but they thought it was too good to be that, so it was made a theatrical release. Honestly, I think 2 is the weakest out of the
Yeah, it
trilogy.
is the weakest.
It
Yeah,
is.
but still
honestly,
good.
I don't remember it as much as the first and third one. I really don't. Honestly, the only things I really remember from it was the ending of 2. That was really it.
Why the hell would Pixar do that?
The first movie is just, the first movie was about them trying to get back to their owner, and then Sid, oh my god.
Yeah, Sid is a garbage truck
He's the garbage
operator.
man.
That was sick. 2, the villain I thought was ultimately, he thought was forgettable, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like the villain,
No,
honestly.
I loved him in that. I think he was the strongest villain to date in
Who's
Toy
that?
Story.
Oh, no.
The bear.
Lots of Huggin'
Lots
Bear
of
was...
Huggin' Bear.
I love Lots of Huggin' Bear so much more. I don't know, it's just like his backstory. I mean, you feel
Yeah, that's what I'm
bad...
talking about. He's the best villain of the whole
I
Toy
thought
Story.
you were saying the second one
Prospector.
No,
was.
Sticky Pete? No, Stinky
The
Pete is the
Prospector.
weakest.
Yeah, he's...
Yeah, he was just... Ugh. When you understand his backstory, you do feel bad for him, but at the same time, he is still one
You
menacing
try to burn
son of
them
a-
alive!
Yes. Oh my
Oh
god,
my.
still that scene when I came around, I could
Yeah,
not, the
when they were
tears
all
just would
holding
not
hands.
stop. But then, all of a sudden, the claw, oh my god, I couldn't stop clapping when I saw that. But then
claw chooses who will go and
I'm
who
thinking
will
about it right now, it's making me get misty-eyed right now. The ending scene of Toy Story 3 is by far one of the very best film endings I have ever seen. I mean, when Andy is explaining the toys to the
Yeah.
little girl,
Especially when it comes to Woody.
I got so many flashbacks from the first movie. It just made me feel like a kid again. Like I think I was like 17 when they came out, maybe 18.
Well, it came out in 2010,
so
how
5
old-
years ago,
So 17.
17. I was 17 when I saw
So you're
that
still
movie.
underage.
Yeah, yeah. The theme of growing up and having to basically just let it go. Let it go. It's so hard hitting, and the way it was done was just to perfection in this movie.
Bye, Andy.
God, don't remind me. And that final shot of seeing the toys looking at the car going away was just... It could have been more perfect, guys. Seriously.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's why Toy Story 3 is my number 2.
Okay, I know I'm going to get a lot of slack for the people out there because this film has gotten the Frozen treatment as of lately.
Oh, okay. I know
Well,
what it is now.
this film is from last year. I have a feeling
Yes,
someone on
you'll
here
know.
is going to have this as number 1. My number 2 is Boyhood.
Yeah, it's getting the Frozen treatment a lot. It has.
Why is it getting the Frozen treatment?
Because a lot of people think it's overrated. I don't know why.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I'll get to...
I don't think it's over.
But that's
I think it's a title
yeah.
overpraised.
But Boyhood,
That's what I think.
as a whole, wow. Words cannot describe
words
how
cannot
good this film is.
It's excellent. I just
It
don't
is
think it's
an
one of the best of all time.
It is an excellent film. You got L.R. Coltrane as when he was 6 years old, all the way to when he was 18.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's 12 years in the making.
12 years an actor.
Yes.
Every time I hear that, I always get sick of it. Every time
Same
I hear
with,
that, it took 12 years.
Richard,
Anything else?
I will say, this is Richard Linklater's masterpiece. The fact that you get to experience life with him and all that nostalgic moments, like everything from the music that was being played and the fashion styles and everything that was in the background. It was like, oh my gosh, there's Blockbuster right there. He was going through life as he knows it. Patricia Arquette, this was her best film.
I can agree with that, yeah.
And she
Yeah.
rightfully deserved that Oscar
Sorry,
for Best
Lucas.
Supporting Actress. Because that's my number 2.
It's number 1.
Number 1, guys, our favorite films of the decade so far. Joe, kick
All
it
right,
off.
my number 1 should be fairly obvious to
Come on,
anyone that
guys.
knows me, that knows how much I've talked about this, how much I've argued about this on our podcast, how much I've said everything it is. Number 1, the greatest film, not only of the decade, but one of my favorite movies ever. Boyhood.
No shit.
It's so
it's so
obvious.
playfully obvious. This is the one movie I've been waiting for my entire filming life.
Really?
I've been waiting for a movie like this where they take the same actors and they use them in like a linear timeline. Because I've always seen movies where they start as a kid, but then when they're an adult, it's a completely different actor.
Right.
You don't get the same feel of, okay, it's like it's the same actor as a kid, but it's not the same when he's getting older. You're getting
Right.
it from two different perspectives. I love it how it's all the same. It flows like it's actually real life. That's the one thing that I love about this movie more than
like
anything else.
It's a time span.
It is real life put into a movie. I've learned that life can be very, very unexpected. You don't know especially when you get to the end. The ending I thought was so perfect because it's still undecided. We don't know what his life is going to be like once he gets into college. Life could be very unexpected. We have no idea.
Not to mention very fast.
Yeah, I've heard the negative reactions from it. I've heard them all. The one thing that I will say, I'll go over point by point. The first argument that somebody tried to paint me, it's like the characters was like the sister. I was like the sister was a bitch. I was like,
know who
I
that
didn't
was.
see
But-
her as a bitch at all.
no. But my whole point was, that's the point of her character. If you've had a sister
Or brother.
or a brother, you can understand how much of a dick or a bitch they can be to you. I don't know about you two, so I'm not going to go into that.
No.
But the other thing I want to say is, like, people thought it was way too different than any other movie they'd seen. Let's not play the racism card here.
Like I talked to you, different is not a bad thing whatsoever.
It's different is not a bad thing.
It's a good thing, guys.
Listen, it's not, this is not the Hollywood formula that so many of you are used to. Eller Coltrane's character, Mason, how you feel bad for him growing up as a kid because he's going through three different fathers. His own biological father, the drunk, that's like abusive to his mother, and then you got the army guy that's like that just completely gets on it because he's wearing earrings and calls him a faggot. Then when he starts to get older and he starts developing his own ideas and he has all these conspiracy theories. I mean, as young kids, as young teenagers getting through high school and all that, that's when we start developing ideas and we really start to feel that other people just look at us and like, wow, that kid's like a total dick. I didn't think Boyhood was going to be as good as I thought it was, but it was amazing.
Again, one of my favorite parts about the movie, not just the nostalgia part, is the dialogue in all of his movies. All the dialogue, it feels improvised.
Oh, it
Every
is.
single thing. Oh yeah, I know that, but like, it just feels so... It's like, I look at Rich Linklater like I do with David O. Russell's dialogue. It feels so natural to the point where, like, when he writes for his characters, it feels like he knows the person in general.
Exactly.
That's what I love about
and
Richard Linklater.
And if you want to see the love between a father and a son, go to the Beatles' Black Album scene.
Oh, that's a great scene,
There's even more backstory to it than you don't see in the movie. I will never see another movie being made like this ever, unless Richard Linklater does it again.
There's somebody out there who's gonna try it. Somebody
will try it, but it won't be as good as.
I will say, all of your points, you've actually made me appreciate it even more. Actually, you actually have.
Yes. Boyhood, my number one. I will never let go of it.
All right, my number one favorite film of the decade so far, and Alex knows what it is for sure.
It has to be.
This is a film... Joe, stop it. This is a film that when I first saw, I saw the praise just coming nonstop out of this movie. Now, I love Boyd. I really do love it. But compared to this movie feel way more emotions than Boyhood. So my number one favorite film of the decade. It's also one of my favorite films of all time, like Joe's. It's in my top 10 favorite films. Whiplash is my number one. I cannot describe my feelings towards this movie, seriously. The very first time I saw it,
last year?
Yeah, it was my number one. I saw it twice last year.
No, but you have two from last year on this.
Yeah, there was The Babadook and yeah, last year was a great year for film. Like Joe with Boyhood, there's no words I can use to describe how much I love it. So I consider this a masterpiece without a doubt. It's just...
It is.
It's such an amazing film about... Like Gravity, it's about a guy who's trying to make himself better and better, and the conflicts just keep escalating every time. You meet Miles Teller trying to be the best at what he does, and everyone looks down upon him for it. I mean like he doesn't have the greatest family life. His mother left him and his dad when he was a baby. His dad was supposed to do something else, but ended up being a teacher instead. The dinner scene, I keep watching that scene as a way to from the scene, I'm doing this, fuck you guys.
And that's probably the only scene that I could really say was probably like the most prolific out of the whole movie.
Oh, the ending scene is by far one of my favorite film endings in history. By far, J.K. Simmons was my favorite acting performance of last year. He just, like the schmo say, he is a very warped Mr. Miyagi, and holy shit, he is by far the biggest asshole of the decade to me.
Character-wise.
Character-wise, yes.
J.K. Simmons is not an asshole.
No.
He did Law and Order.
Just see Miles Teller character just triumphing over every obstacle. He gets a fucking bus runs into his car and he still goes to his concert. He still does. The determination in his eyes, you can feel the see how much I love about this movie? I'm getting choked up thinking about it. The soundtrack is also, oh my god, the soundtrack is amazing. And I was gonna get to this. The ending of the film, the last 10 minutes, is by far one of the most empowering scenes I've ever seen. When Fletcher tells him, I know it was you, douchebag. I know it was you who got me fired, and you see the look in his eyes, he's like, oh fuck. Yeah. And then he tries to keep on going. You see his look at defeat, and then he goes back to his dad, and he's like, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm going back in there showing him how I do business. He plays Caravan. Oh my god! I cannot believe that Miles Teller did all the drumming in the movie. I cannot believe that. That moment where he helps him with the snare drum, that moment I saw that, I was just like, yes!
If we were gonna go the comedy route, the one thing that would have been a great ending, like comedic-wise, would have been like, and now let's play some Rush music.
It wasn't just that. The Whiplash is, in a sense, it's a psychological thriller in a sense. It's the Duel of the Fates, but in a psychological thriller aspect. Of course, it's been done before. I get that. It's been done before. But the way how it tackles it was something, it felt completely fresh and different and new in a way I had never seen before. It is by far one of the best psychological thrillers I've ever seen. It's my top 10 favorite films of all time. I loved it that much, guys. Whiplash is one of those films that after I saw it, I had never felt so empowered and so,
It's a movie orgasm.
yeah, pretty much. It's a music movie, but it's really a psychological thriller, and that's what I loved about it the most. And those and horror films are my favorite types of films right there. Whiplash is my #1 movie of the decade so far, guys. See it. Alrighty, so it's all built up to this. Joe's #1 was Boyhood, mine was Whiplash. Now, Alex, what you got for us?
Well, this film is an absolute masterpiece.
Okay.
I know that this film has been highly overlooked, especially last year, because this came out in 2013, but the films last year kind of overlooked it. It's based on a true story. It's done by one of the best directors ever.
Okay.
And one little thing will give it away.
Okay.
Really? Holy! I had a feeling! That was one of my guesses.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Taking
From
a
beginning,
decade instead of year.
middle to end. It is amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio playing
Jordan Belfort.
Jordan Belfort, who is an absolute freaking master when it comes to stocks and bonds and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
manipulating the minds of people. Matthew McConaughey's cameo at the beginning with the whole. I can go on and on, but let's face it, everyone else has. Everyone else has seen this movie, right?
Yes.
Well, I would hope
If
so.
you haven't, what the hell are you waiting for? Overall, as a whole, this movie is a 5 out of 5 masterpiece. It's one of Martin Scorsese's best, aside from Taxi Driver and The Departed.
And Raging Bull.
And Raging Bull. That's why it's my #1 best film of the decade so far.
Alrighty guys, so those were our top 5 films of the decade. Our mentions for the two of us, not from him. If you do want a top 5 horror of the decade, we will do that. Let us know below.
No,
Yes,
thumbs
please.
up.
No, yeah, thumbs
Please,
up.
please.
Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, give us a thumbs up if you want us to do a top 5 worst films of the decade so far.
If it outweighs the thumbs down, we'll do it.
Of course. Comment on, let us know below. What are your favorite films of the decade so far? And also, give us a few honorable mentions while you're at it.
I personally am going to give everybody out there a very special treat once the summer movie season's over.
Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. I'm also on Twitch. I try and release every weekend. I play horror games here and there. I'm also on Patreon if you want to help me make even better videos on there. If you want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all links in the description below. If you liked what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. And until the next top 5, we will see you guys next time.
Cheers!